Alright. This is my setup. Ran it once down at Island Creek day use area. Got a minimum of 1.5 grams. Blue Bull kicked a whole bunch of gold out. I don't know why it did that, but anyway, I still got gold in my black sands from my trip down there. Got some pretty good sized flakes. I wanted to show you guys. There it is. A52 sluice dredge, 3-inch. All the stuff there. I just wanted to go over a couple of modifications I made on it. First is this ramp. Most of your gold collects right down in this area below this ramped riffle. And when I tested it with all different kinds of sizes and shapes of lead shot that I meticulously cut up and flattened to imitate gold, all the larger pieces sat right under this. They didn't even make it behind the riffle. The first riffle is like right below that edge there. Most of the gold sat right up in here. Well, the bigger pieces. Now the finer stuff, when I was dredging down there at Cow Creek, I'll show you where it laid. It didn't even make it down anywhere near the riffles. Notice I reshaped and got rid of the wood, and I had to use, let me see if I can get a better view of it here. I had 2 pieces of HDPE plastic, and what I did is I slit the cone on the corners and then sandwiched it between there and bolted the living crap out of it. So, and I screwed this down all the way around to the other 1/2-inch piece of HDPE, because what was happening is when I was sandwiching it, this was raising up and it wasn't given a nice flat area, so I ended up having to screw that down every couple inches. But back to what I was going to show you, where most of the gold sat, the fine stuff, which my dredging buddy Ron got his hands on before I could even see what was in it. That mat right there, that so-called vortex mat, was so freaking full of gold. All that fine stuff sat right on there. It was just a pretty neat, amazing day. Now I know Reed asked me why these overlap. No real reason except for easy installation. This one just sits down on top of that one, and it sits on a bar right up there. You just get it under that screw, and then you got 2 bolts to hold that down. Now, under the punch plate, what keeps it off of that is I got 3/4 inch, which sits on the first riffle. Let's see if I can get an angle here where you guys can see a little better. See, it sits on the riffle there. I got a bolt there, sits right on top of that, and then there's a bolt here, there, and there to keep it off the bottom of the sluice, and it doesn't interfere with the flow very much at all. Okay. Again, I got a wing nut and a washer to hold that down tight. When we were running it, had all kinds of black sand and stuff and gold underneath the mat, where it would come up around that and go under that and sit. But it's not going anywhere because of the way I made this. I had to piece it together. there's a lip there. And there was some gold sitting right along that lip that didn't make it out. What can I say? I mean, it works pretty good, just like it is. Got a nice long flap. And now I'm going to show you another thing I want to try down there at South Umpqua. I posted on the forums about this kind of setup, and with a little bit of trepidation I'm going to post this video, and you know, it still needs to be tested. You can take or leave the idea as you want, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to set my 3-inch hose inside this coupler and clamp that on there. This spray bar is inside a clear box, which I still have yet to seal totally, which will be done here before long. And cleanup's easy. You slip that bolt out and take it off and dump it into a 5-gallon bucket. Now I got just this braided pressure line, goes to a valve right there, and then it threads up here and goes to a valve right off the pump. So I can control the valve there and down there. And all I gotta do is watch the box when I suck up some stuff and get my material in there moving just like I want it. Again, it's experimental. Don't know if it's gonna work, but you know, an hour or two of testing isn't gonna hurt me, because all I have to do is pull the chain and shove my hose back up into the traffic cone up there, and I'm good to go dredging. It's going to take me, what, 2 minutes to pull that off, if that. So, you know, an hour of testing. If it works, I'll keep using it. If it doesn't work, well, then it goes to the scrap bin. But you don't know until you try. Now, that's kind of what the bazooka does. I know some of you guys on 49er mics like, it's probably not going to work that way. Why do you need 2 recovery systems? Well, if it works and it gets me the gold before it gets up to here, which I know it's going to collect here, I have no fear there, but this is just experimental. I want to see how well this works. Every last little bit of gold I can get, you know, it goes a long way. So every last little flake, and that's what I'm about, is collecting every last little flake. That's pretty much it for this episode of Mr. AU Fever, and hopefully I'll be down there at Dole testing this sucker out on the really fine flat gold down there. Another thing about this configuration is this pump and motor, you know, some people were saying I'd have water sloshing out the side of my sluice box there, because it's a 10-inch wide, you know, Keen A52 sluice that I converted. I'm here to tell you that you don't have to turn up this motor beyond a third RPMs. A tank of gas lasts you about 3.5 to 4 hours, because your RPMs aren't up, and it has plenty of suction. You know, it's all about tuning the riffles to how you want them. You don't, just because you have a motor doesn't mean you have to blow as much material through it as you can. You know, there's a lot of factors go into dredging. Part of it is your water flow, your material feed, and the configuration of your setup. And so far I seem to have this dialed in pretty darn good, and hopefully I'll give you an update on how that little puppy works.